Ladies and gentlemen, the 11,000 US dollar pump Bitcoin saw after the announcement of the cryptocurrency strategic reserve by Trump and his administration the other day has been completely annihilated. A lot of people yesterday, when we were sitting up here at $94,000, were very, very bullish on the market, in my view, for no justifiable reason. Pretty much every single cryptocurrency YouTuber and people on Twitter, I know there were exceptions, but most people were ecstatic. They were absolutely bouncing off the walls, bullish, telling people it was going to go up to 100K to all-time highs again. And I sat here in yesterday's video and I said the truth. I said in the title, be prepared. Here's what people are afraid to say. They were either afraid to say it or they were too ignorant of the realities of the market to say it. But here's what you need to know. It's highly unlikely that cryptocurrency, or any market for that matter, can recover based on a short-term isolated news event. What do I mean by that? I mean, this news event we saw, this announcement of the crypto strategic reserve, was an isolated cryptocurrency event. It did not move traditional markets. The S&P 500 was still in a triple top breakdown from its bull market support band and downwards trend. That did not change. The hype, the momentum was purely crypto related. And so the underlying characteristics of the drop in the first place, the things that dragged Bitcoin down in the first place back here last week, had not been resolved. They just had a band-aid put on them, right? And they'd just been ignored for a short period of time. And obviously when the hype died down, everything just resumes as usual because nothing's actually changed. It was just a distraction. Okay, people don't want to hear that. They didn't want to listen to that. I hope they listen to it now. So the question becomes, what happens next? And that's an extremely difficult question to answer because unfortunately Bitcoin is back in no man's land. What do I mean by that? No man's land is simply the price region between $74,000 and around $85,000, through which Bitcoin has seen virtually no historical price action within. We have basically no historical data within that price range, and so it's very difficult to make predictions within that price range. But I can do a few things. First of all, I can say what Bitcoin needs to do to get back into a good situation, and then I can say what Bitcoin needs to avoid doing in order to avoid entering a bear market. Because let's be clear, Bitcoin is still in a bull market on a macro scale, but we are in danger here, that's for sure. Before we get into it, if you're going to be in the cryptocurrency market, if you're going to buy and sell cryptocurrency, you need to be on a good exchange. You're trusting exchanges to keep your money safe as you hold coins in the wallets on the exchanges, and you're also paying the money in trading fees every time you make a buy or sell. So it's very important that you get on a good exchange, a reliable exchange, and that's why I like the Bitunix exchange. In its 3.5 years of being around in the cryptocurrency market, it has not once ever been hacked before. That's exceptionally good. And if it is hacked, it has security information available, reserves information available, so that you can potentially get reimbursed on your funds that you may lose in a hypothetical hack, which again has not happened yet. On top of this, it is available to every single one of you watching this YouTube video. It is global, non-KYC. You'll have no problem signing up regardless of where you are in the world, with no VPN required. That's insanely good for people in the USA specifically these days. And with my referral link down below, you can get an exclusive 15% trading fee discount just with the Wolves of Crypto referral link. So go ahead and use that link down below and get that 15% trading fee discount attached to your account for life, as well as up to $8,000 in rewards. You can see it on the screen right here where I've highlighted just by signing up with my referral link. So check it out if you're interested. Let's get into the content. It's quite interesting. I did a community poll yesterday. I said on April 1st, which is about 3 weeks away, what will the price of Bitcoin be? And the overwhelming minority of people, 46% of people, right, which is but nearly double the next most common answer, are very bullish. They're saying Bitcoin's going to be above 100,000, and only 24% of people think that Bitcoin's going to be below 80K. So 24% of people, in my view, realistically think we're in a bear market right now, which is just basically a quarter of people. So most people are actually still bullish, and I think that is the correct stance to be taking on a macro scale. To be honest, I don't know, by April 1st might be a bit too optimistic in my view, especially for 100K, but I can say very well that we are still in a macro bull market. We have not seen a macro downwards trend form yet, and we are still within the 4-year cycle. So this isn't really a question about the health of the bull market at this point in time. Obviously, the bull market is threatened because we have unfortunately broken down from a very important macro price range, stemming backwards from the 2021 all-time highs there in yellow. That macro support line breaking is not a good thing at all. It's actually a very, very bad thing. So I would say the bull market is definitely threatened, but it's not destroyed. Now, let's just answer the most important question off the bat. What would destroy the cryptocurrency bull market? Well, in my view, It's very difficult to say what that is, but I'll try my best and the reason it's difficult to say just before we get into my attempt to try and answer that question is because the cryptocurrency bull market is not based on price, it's based on dates. 4-year cycle is a date range trend. It's based on days between top to top, bottom to bottom, halving to top, halving to bottom, things like that. Okay, it's not really based on what price Bitcoin goes to or doesn't go to. So the only way to tell if the bull market's actually broken, the 4-year cycle is actually broken, is by getting to the expected top date in October and not being at a top. Right now, obviously, that's not really helpful to us, and so we need to come up with some sort of other metric to determine when a bear market may begin, and that's what I'm going to try to do here. In my view, if we go below the upwards resistance zone of our prior macro consolidation range, so this range right here that we consolidated for in 8 or 9 months, if we break back into that range properly, and hence if we drop below the upper resistance zone of that range, in my view, that would be a confirmed full macro breakdown. I don't see why Bitcoin would need to do that, and I don't really see a path to recovery from that point. So below something like 70,000 or 74,000 would be complete annihilation of this bull market in my view. That would also mark a drop into and below the Gaussian channel center line on the weekly chart, which has historically been a very accurate indicator. If we enter the Gaussian channel on the weekly chart, we generally almost always move through it. Okay, so just look at my cursor right here. We enter it, we move through it, we move through it, move through, move through, move through. Okay, you don't really fake out with this Gaussian channel level, and hence if we did enter it again from the upside, we would likely move through it to the downside, and that would be consistent with a bear market. So in my view, in order for Bitcoin to avoid going into a bear market, we would need to avoid going below something like 70,000 US dollars around that price region. As soon as we get into the 60,000s, it's pretty much wrecked. That's my view at least, and that's subject to change, but I don't really see a path to recovery below 70,000. Now, what does Bitcoin need to do to restart an upside move? That's a separate question. So we've covered what it needs to do to avoid a bear market. What about what it needs to do to restart a move to the upside? Well, in my view, we have this white resistance line here on the daily chart that would clearly need to break. We would also need to break back into our prior macro range between this orange line here and this yellow line here. Now, you might think that this yellow line's not valid. You might think, oh, look at that fake out. How can you say that yellow line's valid? It is valid. If we look at the 4-hourly chart, where it is, here it is right here, 4-hourly chart on Bitcoin, the same yellow line, the same macro support line that held Bitcoin up for such a long period of time, stemming backwards from 2021. Even during this move to the upside we saw the other day, we saw retests of that line of support and retests of that line as resistance. Let's go into the hourly chart just so you can see those retests up close. There they are. On the way up, we bounced off of it. On the way down, we rejected off of it. So even though it was a swift move, and it looks like on the daily chart it's lost all validity, it certainly hasn't. At this point in time, it's still valid. So a break above this white line here and a break back above the yellow line, as well as a break above the daily chart pi cycle indicator in blue and the daily chart Gaussian channel as well. You can see those both on the screen. Why do I mention those? Well, I mention those because those were the two levels that were characterizing, or I guess restricting, Bitcoin within a compression. So we had an intense compression between around the 3rd of February to around the 25th of February, right here between those two lines, the blue line and the green line on the screen here. And that led to a breakdown. Those levels did not hold. We rejected from a top and we broke below the pi cycle line. And so given as they were kind of the catalysts of our recent move to the downside, I'd like to see both of them break as well. So a break above this Gaussian channel center line, the pi cycle line, the white line on the screen, and the yellow line on the screen. All of that to say a break above something like 90. At this point, it would be 98,000. And Bitcoin, in my view, would be back in the clear for a move back to all-time highs. I'm very hesitant to give any sort of actual analysis of the short term here. There's simply no historical data. I'm not even going to attempt to do so. I'll just show you the chart just so you can really see here. What do you want me to say about this? This is all the price action we've ever seen in this price range. Just a matter of days of price action. There's nothing to say here, okay? Yeah, look, there's support at these red lines. There's probably a new one here at 82,000. There's nothing else to say. There's no new structure forming. Nothing really is happening here at all. As it develops, we can say things about it, but right now there's nothing to say. I'll just mention quickly, it's quite unfortunate that we've seen a breakdown here for another reason, and that reason is this long-term line stemming backwards from 2011, the longest line Bitcoin has. So if we look at this 2011 line, you can see interactions with this line being very influential historically speaking. Look at the bounces, look at the rejections. Now we break above it, we break below it. It's a dynamic line. It actually marked the COVID bottom as well. It's been very useful in the past, and we actually managed to close our weekly candle above that line in the recent weekly candle close, but right now we're hovering very intensely below it. So that's a major threat, and this weekly candle coming up is actually a major threat for that reason. It's hovering below this major uptrending support line from 2011, and it's also threatening to break down the total 3 cryptocurrency market cap. It has a 2.5-year support line on the RSI from June 2022. And if we get a bad close here on the weekly chart for the total 3, which is the altcoin market's going to get decimated. So it's a very, very important weekly candle for both Bitcoin and the altcoin market. And that's something to keep an eye on as well. We've got 5 days and 10 hours, so plenty of time there. But definitely looking pretty sketchy for altcoins at this point in time. Just holding on, by a thread here on this ascending support line from June 2022 on the broader market. And then looking at Ethereum, Ethereum is struggling to hold on to a macro support range. And if we drop that macro support range, we're going back to levels we haven't seen since 2023, which would be absolutely brutal, okay? So in conclusion, we need to be holding above 70,000. That's the absolute lowest Bitcoin can go. I don't see any sort of path of recovery below 70,000. Even going that low is quite detrimental in my view. And we need to be breaking above, at this point, 98,000, but more specifically, white resistance line here, yellow line right here, Gaussian channel on the daily chart, pi cycle line in blue. There's a lot of levels we need to be breaking here. So we've got our, I guess, we've got to do a lot here on Bitcoin. There's nothing else to really say. It's got a lot on its plate. So fingers crossed with this situation. Yes, we're still in a macro bull market, but threats are emerging here. Don't let yourself be fooled. If you were fooled yesterday, that was your lesson, right? Short-term news events, they don't mean anything. It's market trends that matter. It's market dynamics that matter, okay? If you have a short-term news event during a broader traditional market and cryptocurrency-wide downwards trend, it's not going to do anything. It's going to be a short-term band-aid. Do not fall for traps like that. So guys, I'll keep you updated on the situation. Thank you for watching. Like I mentioned at the start of the video, I'd appreciate it heavily if you checked out the Bitunix exchange. I'm sure you would too, because you need to be on a good exchange that takes your security seriously. They've never been hacked before, and that's especially relevant in recent weeks. We had the Bybit exchange hack recently, the biggest hack in cryptocurrency history via funds stolen. You don't want to be falling victim to something like that. Get on a historically secure exchange. Get on an exchange that is not overcharging you in trading fees. And with my referral link down below, you can sign up from literally anywhere in the world with no VPN required and get a 15% trading fee discount exclusively with my referral link. Takes 15 seconds to sign up. I appreciate that. Help me out and help yourself out as well by using that exchange. The link is down below. The last thing I'll mention finally before we end the video here is my VIP group on Telegram. If you want to get altcoin trading signals, you can get them on VIP 4 times a week. You can also get access to a group chat with 160 other VIP members. Check that all out, guys. The information's down below. Appreciate you guys. Take care.